Welcome to the new paper on philosophy of education, great educators and their ideals. M.K. Gandhi is internationally esteemed for his doctrine of non-violent protest to achieve political and social progress. Today, Gandhism has emerged as one of the most potent means of understanding the present socio-economic, political, religious and educational problems of the country in particular and world in general are facing. Education can take many forms and serve many needs. The real difficulty is that people have no idea of what right education truly is. In the present social context, we assess the value of education in the same way as we assess the value of material goods like land, building, etc. People want to provide only such education as would enable the student to earn more. This is the trend prevalent in the present society. In this context, it is relevant to study on right education that was put forward by Mahatma Gandhi in detail. For Gandhi, education is not relative, peripheral or superficial phenomenon, but it lifts us to the supreme truth gradually. In his philosophy, one can see both education and spirituality are appeared in a synthesized form. According to him, the goals of both are one and the same. Education is a life process for the development of the spiritual personality of the individual. If it fails to achieve this aim, then such an education does not become worthy of its name. Development in personality becomes a process of spiritual development based on the principles of truth and ahimsa according to Gandhi. One of the central themes in Gandhian education is his principle of satyagraha. Through right education, Gandhi's ultimate aim was to establish a holistic and universal development in human personality. His own definition points to this. By education, I mean an all-round drawing out of the best in child and man, body, mind and spirit. A holistic personality is not glamorous personality, but a personality well grounded in God orientations. One of the significant phenomena of the 20th century was the dramatic expansion and extension of public educational systems around the world. Number of schools grew, as did the number of children attending them. Generally, education can be thought of as the transmission of the values and accumulated knowledge of a society. Now, let us see what is happening today. Human beings has striven to improve their material, spiritual and emotional conditions, and the essence of this is what is called development in the general sense. We cannot deny that these developments make our life easier and comfortable. The benefits of development and progress can be seen all around us. But within these developments, what we lack today is the human values. Crimes have increased, environment is badly exploited by many, natural resources depleted, etc. are some of the examples. Man has become mechanical and egoistic in their outlook, purely materialistic in thinking and calculative in behavior. The net result is unrest and increase in social tensions. Now, let us see what the contributions are made by our Mahatma, the prominent leader of the Indian nationalism and the prophet of non-violence in the field of education. Gandhian views on education are a solution for all these problems prevalent in the present society by introducing altruistic and holistic education. The present education yields only a partial development in individuals. It is sure that we need all kinds of information and knowledge from outside. Among with these, we need self-analysis and self-realization. Gandhian model of education can be organized in such a way as to heighten the peace awareness of individuals. According to Gandhi, peace education will be imparted through a large variety of specific methods which education can adopt as part of its curriculum. One of the central principles of Gandhian perspective on education is its concentration on satyagraha. It is the most comprehensive principle that functions within the framework of a set of goals or aims that determine the process of education. Actually, his views on education is a symbol of peace and tolerance as part of the development of individual, society and nation as a whole. In the present social context, we need this kind of total development rather than peripheral, partial development. Gandhi always meant for the promotion of unity among diversity through right education. Again, we see in Gandhism, peace and tolerance became the key concepts which are based on principles of truth and ahimsa. In his devotion to peace and tolerance of the brotherhood of man, the Mahatma was one of those rare spokesmen for the conscience of mankind. It is beyond doubt that he tried to represent the world peace and tolerance in his efforts to inculcate the values in the development of individuals. Gandhian perspective on holistic education has the quality to the formation of both personal and spiritual character in the individuals. According to him, personality itself is holistic in nature, in which every aspect, attitude and aptitude is given a balanced development, as in J. Krishnamurti. We have already seen that Gandhian education puts the highest importance on the formation of the individual's personality, which will capable of subsuming the highest and ultimate ideals of human life. Gandhi strongly believed that the duty of education is to discriminate attitudes and values, associate them with the right educational practices and develop a holistic personality. Education also has a direction in the molding of character. In this sense, education and the development are the sides of the same coin. One of the significant features of holistic education is its directions for the formation of the attitude of love in the individual. Gandhi exhorts, "Your education should be built on the foundation of truth and love. Unless this is done, your education will be rendered useless." According to Gandhi, the ultimate goal of human life is God realization. We can see that his assumptions came from his relation with the philosophy of Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita. He believed that God is not personal but impersonal and is the soul of beings and universe. He was also much influenced by Buddhism, Jainism and Advaita Vedanta. He was a staunch supporter of universal brotherhood and tried to establish interreligious understanding like other contemporary Indian thinkers. In his own words, "My duty is the service of God and therefore service of humanity." Some of the ideals of education according to Gandhi is as follows. Number 1, character formation. Gandhi believed in pedocentric education, as in Rousseau, that is a kind of education centers around the child. He also believed that along with literacy aspect in education, cultural aspect also take part an important role in the molding of character in children. It is understood that it is through the cultural aspect that the child learns conduct and ideas and develops his character and ideals. As Gandhi puts it, true education is that which draws out and stimulated the spiritual, intellectual and physical faculties of the children. Hence, it follows that the real aim of education is the whole development of the child, including his physical, mental and spiritual aspects. Gandhi exhorts that character formation is prior than literacy. As a strong follower of ancient Indian tradition, he took the relevant Indian ideals from it for the development of the country in particular and world in general. In his own words, by education, I mean an all-round drawing out of the best in child and man, body, mind and spirit. According to him, literacy is not education, not even the beginning. It is one of the means whereby man and women can be educated. He made harsh criticisms against British models of education. He strongly believed that the aim of education of self-dependence, thereby every human being, girl or boy, to develop the ability to depend upon himself or herself. The ability to earn one's livelihood is part of self-reliance. In other words, as Gandhi puts it, self-reliance is a kind of insurance against unemployment. Gandhi always placed so much stress and emphasis on industrial training and craftswork along with basic education. His intention through this was to make the child to acquaint with real life. He wanted the educator to become the means of producing ideal citizens. Seeing the poverty and drastic situation among the masses, he suggested that education in India should be based on industrial training and development of the manual skill and handicrafts. Another prominent ideal of education, according to Gandhi, aimed at a holistic development of the individual, a comprehensive or broad-minded standpoint. The present education gives importance to the partial development alone. Education must aim at developing the child's personality instead of limiting itself to providing the child with part by part information. Education must guide the individual towards self-realization and also must instill in him all those qualities which go to the making up of a responsible citizen. He also distinguishes between immediate and long-term aims of education, suggesting that such aims are as getting academic certification of merits or degrees or attaining education for livelihood should be considered the immediate aims, but the final aim of education can only be self-knowledge. Thus, Gandhi states that education must make the individual to live and earn his daily bread, to be the means of his sustenance. He has risen to his present status by learning to adjust his individualities to the requirement of social progress. Realization of good is the end or the goal of all human activity and service to humanity its finest means. It is only natural that such a faith should lead him to stress the social objectives of education more than the personal and individual ones. Synthesis of individual and social aims. Gandhi also tried to synthesize individual and social aims of education. In our restricted education, to the achievement of any partial or single aim, he looked education as a lifelong process from various perspectives. Therefore, he assigned different aims of education at different times. A closer examination of all these statements of Gandhi, however, shows that these aims of education are complementary to each other. Gandhi was a mass educator and has his own way of imparting knowledge to the public. For this purpose, he used his newspaper Young India and later Harijan for educating masses. The primary aim and purpose of education for him is to develop the mind and build up character. He strongly believed that right education always cultivate such qualities as courage, strength, virtue and self-denial. Hence, he views that in the long run, illiteracy is less damaging than character deficiency. He often pointed out that the inadequacies of English education system. In the first place, such a type of education enslave our mind to the colonial values. Such a type of education create only clerks and subordinate officers to assist the continuance of their exploitation in India. In this context, he felt the need for an alternative education system. As an experimenter, he conducted many experiments in the educational field also. He derived some ideals such as number 1, compulsory and free education, and number 2, the media of instruction should be in mother tongue. Along with academic subjects, each child will provide manual and productive work. Moral awareness through education. For Gandhi, all knowledge is mere useless without a good character. He laid emphasis upon the moral and spiritual aims of education, and character building is the moral ideals of education. The end of all knowledge must be the building up of character. He was very much admired the Gurukula system of education and the ideal of Brahmacharya. According to ancient Indian ideal education aims at liberation, Gandhi also agrees with it in a wider sense, including political, social and economical liberation of all the members of society. Real freedom is spiritual freedom. To attain this freedom is the task of education. It also equally aims at intellectual, economic and political uplift along with moral and spiritual freedom. The process of education in the Gandhian sense aims at the creation of the environment for the practice of an ethical, morally sound life. It leads to the development of the spiritual personality of the individual. Individual development and social progress are interdependent. We need a society in which all individuals have to play their part for the good of the whole without losing their individual character. His aim of education leads to the development of society. Hence, each and every individual has a great responsibility to the development, and the development of the society is not an automatic thing. Individuals have to be pressed into service for that. God realization. According to Indian philosophy, the ultimate end of all knowledge is God realization. This God realization is, in a sense, is equivalent to self-realization, which has been regarded as the ideal of education by most of the educational philosophers in East and West. In the words of Gandhi, self-realization is in itself an all-comprehensive idea. This idea includes other ideals of education. Like Aurobindo, Gandhi also believed that the ultimate aim of education is spiritual. This spiritual growth includes physical and mental, individual and social development. Gandhi tried to introduce a kind of education suitable to present day Indian society. He clearly understood the difficulties of the present day Indian society and tried to find out the solution through education. His educational philosophy is based upon ancient Indian idealism, and his attention was mainly directed towards spiritual growth. Gandhi favored compulsory primary education for all, including women, but he insisted that it should be combined with vocational training. The economical survival of the family unit required that there should be the full cooperation of all members, including children. About the medium of instruction in education, he always stressed on using mother tongue. According to him, without having any vocational training in elite educated classes, almost unfit for the creative and productive work, gradually harm them physically. He added that it is a kind of false education which, being a mere intellectual dissipation, gradually misguides our youth's mind and thereby distracts the development of the entire aspects. Hence, for social development, an entire reformation is needed in the present system of education. It was on the basis of reflection on his own educational experience that Gandhi advocates that education should be imparted through the medium of the mother tongue rather than the medium of English. Hence, the schools should be an extension of the home, that the impressions received from both the places should be in correspondence with each other. By introducing the use of provincial languages in the educational system, Gandhi's intention was to restore the self-respect and self-identity of his fellow countrymen. Through right education, a person is to know who he is and what his duty is. This is the real meaning of education. His intention also pointed out the need to cultivate a proper attitude to manual labor. According to him, 80% of the population in India lived in the rural areas where labor was an essential and integral part of daily life. His emphasis on the dignity of manual labor contrasted strongly with the general attitude of the present educational classes. The labor experience acquired at school is a form of vocational training as additional advantage to a child in later life when the time came for him to earn a living. This is what is lacking today. One could see that Gandhi's educational concerns are rooted in his fundamental belief in the true nature of the self, the essential unity of mankind, and in the indivisibility of truth. According to him, Sarvodaya was the natural consequence of belief in the unity of mankind. He was also convinced that to provide welfare to his fellow beings could be provided of a suitable system of education. Then only one could realize his own identity and also can have self-respect. He proposes a system of education which he thinks meets the needs of Indians, and in doing so he acts in accordance with the religious and ethical ideals acquired within his own form of life and which he calls truth. Through education, one of Gandhi's aim was to provide equality of opportunity to all and restore human rights. In short, his views on education is altruism rather than egoism. Let us summarize what we discussed in this session. Education, as conceived by Mahatma Gandhi, primarily aims at the formation and development of both spiritual and moral personality in individuals. Education is defined as a process of bringing about the changes in the human individuals in desired directions. He always defines education with reference to the holistic development of man, the all-round drawing of the best in the child and man, body, mind and spirit. In the Gandhian sense, education aims at the development of both individual and society. Individual is the central core in his philosophy because he views individual as of divine origin. The goals of Gandhian education cover a wide spectrum of values that relate themselves to the total development of both the individual and the society. Now, there are a few assignments for you to work out. Number 1, discuss Gandhi's concept of altruistic and holistic education. Number 2, explain the role of character formation in education based on the educational philosophy of Gandhi. Number 3, how Gandhi related the academical study and day-to-day life of a man. Discuss. Number 4, explain the relation between Gandhian perspective on education and satyagraha. Number 5, for Gandhi, all knowledge is mere useless without a good character. Justify the statement. Now, there are a few books for your reference. Number 1, Mahatma Gandhi, an autobiography, the story of my experiments with truth, Bacon Press, 1957. Number 2, Mahatma Gandhi, My Religion, Navajivan Publishing House, Ahmedabad, 1955. Number 3, Glyn Richards, The Philosophy of Gandhi, a study of his basic ideas, Curzon Press, 2004. Number 4, D.K. Lal, Contemporary Indian Philosophy, Motilal Banarsidass, 1992. Number 5, Roman Roland, Mahatma Gandhi, Srishti Publishers and Distributors, 2000. Thank you for watching this program. See you next time. Until then, goodbye.